Adapted from Ichiro Oda's manga, the Fish-Man Island Saga aired in the anime from 2011 to 2012 in Japan and spans a total of 57 episodes. Some fans view this saga as slower compared to later New World arcs, but there's no denying its importance. It reintroduces the Straw Hats, showcases their upgraded abilities, and sets the stage for Luffy's rise as a future Emperor-level threat. Let's dive into the story that makes this saga so memorable. Return to Sabaody. 2 years after the Straw Hats separated, Luffy finally retrieves his Straw Hat and prepares to leave Ruskaina with Hancock and the Kuja pirates. He has clearly grown stronger, even befriending the island's dangerous animals. Hancock is still hopelessly in love with him, but Luffy casually rejects the idea of marriage and sets off for Sabaody Archipelago. Meanwhile, Sabaody has become chaotic. The Marines have shifted their base, Brook has become a superstar known as Soul King, and rumors spread that the Straw Hat Pirates have returned and are recruiting new members. Sanji arrives with the Okama and immediately celebrates seeing real women again. Yo, this man's gonna end up in the bin. At a bar, Nami runs into a group pretending to be the Straw Hats. These fake pirates, led by fake Luffy, are recruiting criminals and threatening people. When they try to intimidate Nami, Usopp appears and saves her with one of his new moves. The two reunite and escape while the fakes vow revenge. At the bar, Sanji learns that several crew members have already arrived. Frankie has been guarding the Thousand Sunny, which is now coded for the trip underwater. Robin arrives at the ship and sees Frankie's heavily upgraded body. Chopper, meanwhile, accidentally follows more fake Straw Hats, believing that they are Zoro, Sanji, Robin, and even himself. When fake Robin is kidnapped by government agents, Chopper panics, not realizing that she's just an imposter. The Marines then hear about the Straw Hats' return and send forces to Sabaody, including Sentomaru and 2 pacifistas. Luffy, disguised under a hood, accidentally runs into fake Luffy. When fake Luffy threatens him, Luffy calmly ignores him, dodges a point-blank shot, and knocks out the crew with his haki. Elsewhere, Sanji discovers that Zoro accidentally boarded the wrong ship, which he then cut in half after it submerged. The fake crew then gathers their recruits, including dangerous pirates like Caribou and Korobu. But the situation collapses when the Marines arrive. Fake Luffy is exposed as Damaro Black, a weak pirate pretending to be Luffy. Sentomaru realizes the real Luffy is nearby, and when a pacifista attacks, Luffy defeats it in one Gear 2 hockey-powered shot. Zoro and Sanji arrive and instantly destroy another pacifista, proving how much stronger the trio has become. Before leaving, Luffy shouts to Rayleigh, thanking him and declaring that he will become Pirate King. Rayleigh, emotional, holds back the Marines while Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji escape. Perona briefly helps them too, warning them about the Marine ships. Finally, the Straw Hats reunite aboard the Thousand Sunny. Brook returns, Hancock blocks the Marines, and allies from each crew member's training journey help delay their pursuit. Frankie then activates the coded ship, and Nami explains how underwater sailing works. With that, Luffy thanks everyone for waiting 2 years, and the Straw Hats dive beneath the sea toward Fish-Man Island and the New World. Fish-Man Island. After the Straw Hats escape, Caribou and Korobu capture the remaining fake Straw Hats in No Man's Land. Furious that the imposters tricked them, Caribou reveals his Logia-type swamp powers and orders the fakes buried alive. Meanwhile, Sentomaru reports that Damaro Black and most of the fake recruits were captured, but the real Straw Hats have returned much stronger, easily destroying 2 pacifistas. Rayleigh watches the sea and remembers meeting Gold D. Roger, noting how much younger Roger resembled Luffy. He believes destiny is taking shape and that Luffy is proven worthy of the Straw Hat. Underwater, the Straw Hats admire the world beneath Sabaody. Nami explains how the ship's coating works and warns that too much damage could pop the bubble. Frankie then reveals what happened during the crew's absence. Hachan and Duval protected the Thousand Sunny until they were injured, and after that, Bartholomew Kuma guarded the ship for almost 2 years. Kuma, before losing his personality completely to the government's modifications, asked Vegapunk to program him to protect the Sunny until the Straw Hats returned. The crew then realizes they owe Kuma deeply, even though the next time they meet him, he may no longer be himself. As the Sunny descends, the Caribou pirates chase them, planning to kill the Straw Hats and gain fame. Their ship is then pulled by Momu, the sea cow from Arlong Park. But when Momu recognizes Sanji, Luffy, and Nami, he panics and flees, accidentally leaving only Caribou on the Sunny. Caribou pretends to surrender, but secretly plans to kill the crew one by one. However, Frankie eventually traps him inside a reinforced barrel. The crew then continues downward, but the route becomes dangerous. They encounter the downward plume and a massive kraken. Luffy, excited instead of afraid, decides to tame it, and Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji fight outside the ship using coating bubbles, showing off new abilities. Sanji's blue walk, Zoro's upgraded swordsmanship, and Luffy's armament hockey powered elephant gun. The Kraken is defeated, but the monster trio gets separated from the Sunny. The remaining crew then enters the dark deep sea, surrounded by terrifying creatures. They encounter a volcanic region, a giant anglerfish, the sea giant Watasumi, and the legendary ghost ship, the Flying Dutchman. Brook explains the curse legend of Vanderdecken, but the current Decken commands Watasumi to destroy the Sunny. Suddenly, the Kraken returns, now tamed by Luffy. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji then reunite with the ship just as an undersea volcano erupts, and the Sea King helps them escape, but falling rocks knock him out, sending the Sunny plummeting into the abyss. The Straw Hats survive and finally reach Fish-Man Island, a glowing island inside a giant bubble. Before entering, they are confronted by the new Fish-Man pirates, who give them two choices: join or be sunk. Luffy rejects them, and Frankie uses Coup de Burst to force their way inside. The ship's coasting bursts, scattering the crew. Luffy wakes up in Kami's house with Sanji, Chopper, and Usopp. Kami then introduced them to her mermaid friend and explains that Hachan is still recovering from injuries he suffered protecting the Sunny. In Mermaid Cove, Sanji is overwhelmed by the sight of mermaids and believes that he has found his all blue. Yo, this man is actually a clown. Like, no wonder they changed this man's character in the live action. The royal princess arrive looking for Straw Hats, but not to arrest them. They actually carry a message from Jinbei. However, Sanji suffers a life-threatening nosebleed, and the situation reveals a harsh island law. Fishmen and merfolk are forbidden from sharing blood with humans. Hammond explains that this resentment is tied to Fisher Tiger, who died after humans refused to donate blood. Luffy defeats Hammond and his beast using Haki, then escapes with Kami to find human blood donors for Sanji. At the Mermaid Cafe, Sanji is saved by two Okama donors, where a terrifying vision is shared with them about a man in a straw hat who will destroy Fish-Man Island. Meanwhile, unrest builds. Hody Jones, leader of the new Fish-Man pirates, takes energy steroids and brutally attacks fleeing pirates to prove Fish-Man's superiority. Caribou escapes his barrel and begins kidnapping mermaids to sell into slavery. King Neptune then invites Luffy's group to the palace as a thanks for saving the pet shark of the princess, Shirahoshi. At the palace, Luffy wanders into the hard-shell tower and meets Shirahoshi, a giant mermaid princess who has been locked away for 10 years because of another enemy named Vanderdecken the Ninth, whose Moto power lets him target her from anywhere. When Decken throws an axe at her, Luffy saves her and offers to take her outside to the sea forest. At the same time, Hody and Decken form an alliance to overthrow the kingdom. The Straw Hats inside the palace end up fighting Neptune's guards after being falsely accused of kidnapping mermaids. Hody then invades the palace, reveals his hatred of humans, and floods the building. Zoro battles him underwater and wounds him badly, but Hody recovers with energy steroids and captures Neptune, Zoro, Usopp, and Brook. Luffy then escapes the palace with Shirahoshi hidden in Megalo's mouth and heads to the sea forest, where Shirahoshi visits her mother, Queen Otohime's grave for the first time. At the sea forest, Jinbei reunites with Luffy and reveals the painful history behind Fish-Man Island's hatred. Queen Otohime fought for peace with humans, where in contrast, Fisher Tiger had once freed the slaves from Mary Joie, but after being betrayed, formed the Sun Pirates. Tiger hated human cruelty, but refused to kill humans, hoping not to pass hatred to the next generation. His death triggers Arlong's hatred, Jinbei becoming a warlord, and Otohime's assassination, which all shaped the island's trauma. Jinbei reveals he released Arlong into East Blue and apologizes to Nami, but she forgives him, saying Arlong alone is responsible for what he did to her village. Meanwhile, Hody then broadcasts his coup, declaring himself the new king and threatening to execute Neptune in 3 hours. He also reveals he plans to kill everyone who supported Odahime's dream, and Jinbei tries to stop Luffy from fighting because a human defeating Hody could worsen racial tensions between the fishmen and humans. But after clashing briefly, they form a plan. At the plaza, Hody reveals he murdered Odahime himself and framed a human for it. Shirahoshi admits she always knew, but stayed silent because her mother asked her not to hold hatred. Just as Hody prepares to execute Neptune, Luffy bursts in and kicks him away. The Straw Hats arrive in full force. Luffy knocks out 50,000 enemies with Conqueror's Haki, and the crew shows off what they've learned over the past 2 years in an epic battle, defeating Hody's officers while Luffy battles Hody himself. But Vanderdecken throws a massive arc Noah at Shirahoshi, threatening to crush Fish-Man Island. Hody betrays Decken, wounds him, and tries to ensure Noah falls. Luffy then defeats Hody with Red Hawk and Elephant Gun, then desperately tries to destroy Noah before it hits the island. Shirahoshi's hidden power awakens, summoning Sea Kings who stop Noah's fall. With the island saved, Luffy collapses from blood loss. The old blood taboo is finally broken when Jinbei donates blood to save Luffy. Upon waking, Luffy asks Jinbei to join his crew, but he declines for now, saying he has unfinished business to attend to, but promises to join later if Luffy still wants him. The island then celebrates with a banquet. Robin then learns from Neptune that Shirahoshi is the ancient weapon Poseidon, the mermaid princess who can command Sea Kings, and that a historical figure named Joy Boy once made a promise involving Noah. Caribou overhears this secret, but is defeated before kidnapping Shirahoshi. The Straw Hats also clash indirectly with Big Mom after Luffy eats the candy meant as Fishman Island's tribute. Luffy challenges Big Mom over Denden Mushi, declaring he will defeat her and make Fishman Island his territory instead. Finally, the crew prepares to leave, and Shirahoshi tearfully asks Luffy to take her outside someday, and the Straw Hats make a pinky promise to return. With Fishman Island beginning to heal and trust humans again, the Straw Hats sail upward toward the new world. And that's the end of the Fish-Man Island Saga. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you never miss another video. And if you haven't already, please join the membership. Really appreciate all of you guys supporting the channel as we work towards getting to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And if you want some more One Piece content, then I would recommend click one of the videos up here.